Hello, ma'am. Can we clear CMA exams in 60 days?
Yes, of course you can if you are dedicated and if you are willing to. Come, let's discuss the strategy. Hi everyone, with just less than 60 days in hand, I know it is a very panicking or it may be a very panicking situation for some of the students, while some of you might be really confident with your preparation. Now, in such a state, the very common question asked is, Ma'am, is it even possible to get through the exams with such less time in hand? Well, yes, it is possible. But of course, the approach has to be correct. And you cannot say that, okay, I haven't even started with any of the subject and I have 8 subjects in pipeline and I'm going to appear for both the groups and I want to crack it in 60 days. Ma'am, please help me. No, I cannot help you that way, right? So the first step or the first thing that you should be clear of is what is your target? Is it one group or is it 2 groups, right? When I say one group or 2 group, deciding this is again a little crucial, although the exam form last date is about to end. Hope you have filled your exam forms. If you're not yet, you'll be filling it in the next couple of days. So you have to decide this, and deciding this is crucial. So how do you take this particular decision? You have to understand your preparation. If you have prepared 70% or more of both the groups, okay, that means your classes of second group also, whatever you consider it to be the second group, is 70% or more done, then only go for both the groups. Otherwise, take one simple target, take one group, and now increase your chances of clearing that particular group, right? So this video is not about deciding groups, so I'm not going to get into too much detail with it. But the first step is that know your target. I have tried to make a common video for both CMA Inter and CMA Final students. Of course, this is not a specific video for each student, because when I am addressing the students on a platform like YouTube, I cannot be so specific. So of course, it is going to be a generic one, but it's going to give you proper guidance to decide your own target, decide your own course of action. Okay, so listen to the entire video and you'll have good clarity and good guidance about the same. Now, the first thing is you know your target. Now, what is your target? Either you have 8 papers or you have 4 papers in your hand. And when I'm talking about the number of days, if I say it to be 60 days, oh, not really. I should say you just have 50 days in hand, because 10 days of grace should definitely be added. However, we will still consider it to be a little different way. Now, if you have 8 papers, I would say roughly you have 7 days for each paper with 4 days of grace, right? So 7 days for each paper. And when I say 4 papers, you have the double, I could say. Let's say 14 days for each paper. It will come out to be 56 days. So your 56 days out of 60 days is exhausted, plus you have other 4 days of grace. Now, how should you utilize these days? Not a single minute has to be wasted from now on. You know your target, you fix your target. Ma'am, the first thing is, should we pick up a subject and study it day and night for 7 days? Finally, we should revise it. We should do everything that is MTP or the study mat questions, everything, finish it off and then pick up other subject. But in this process, what happens is we tend to forget the first subject that we had revised. Well, I completely understand your problem. There are 2 approaches which may be adopted. And these are only 2 approaches which everyone should adopt. You should not go into this particular thing of cracking the entire subject in 7 days and then switch into the next subject. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. करना क्या चाहिए? हमेशा 2 subjects साथ में लेके चलने चाहिए. That tremendously helps, trust me. ठीक है? But instead of that, I would suggest you a better option. आपके कुछ सब्जेक्ट ऐसे होते हैं, जैसे अगर मैं फाइनल सब्जेक्ट की बात करूं तो फाइनल्स में आपके पास लॉ है, आपके पास डीटी है, आपके पास आईडीटी है. ये 3 सब्जेक्ट ऐसे हैं जो अगर आप अभी रिवाइज करोगे, यू विल टेंड टू फॉरगेट दिस at the end, right? So what you should do instead is these 3 subjects: 1 day law, 1 day DT, and 1 day IDT. Okay, let's say your target is 8 subjects. Accordingly, you double the number of days if your target is just 1 group. Okay, so right now your target is 8 subjects. So first 7 days, what you will do is you'll pick up a subject. Okay, let's say you picked up a subject like audit. Okay, so you have cost and management audit. So you picked up a subject like audit. Now you are reading audit for these 7 days. However, every day you are sparing 3 to 4 hours. 1 day for law, the next day for DT, the next day for IDT, then again for law, again for DT, again for IDT, like that. You get my point? So you know that when I wake up, for the first 4 hours or the first 3 hours, I'm going to study law. The next day I'm going to study IDT. The next day I'm going to study DT, whatever it is. And this process goes on. The rest of the day which remains in my hand, I'm going to devote it completely to audit. In this manner, what will happen is you will be connected to these type of subjects which have very short retention. You tend to forget these things. That is very obvious, and that is human nature. You are not alone in this. Okay. However, the practical subjects, you will not forget. You will still remember, even if you feel that you have forgotten everything. No, it will be there with you, right? So when you write the practical answers, when you are trying to solve the questions, you will be able to get it. Okay. Now, this way, you will pick up the subjects and you will complete everything. In the end, you will be left with law, DT, and IDT. When you're left with these, you will need probably only 5 days each for the same. Okay, that means what is happening is 7 into 5, that is 35 days, plus 3 into 5, or whatever way you can write, right? 3 into 5. These are the subjects and these are the subjects, okay? That comes out to be 15 days. So as I said, in a span of 50 days, you will be able to revise your entire 8 subject if you are appearing for both the groups. Okay. Now what should we do with the remaining 10 days, ma'am? First thing, when you are saying that, okay, I am taking 7 days to revise audit, then that should include your study material, that should include your MTPs, that should include your even final test. If at all final test cannot be done, well, these 10 days have to be like final test only. Okay. So last 10 days, whatever you have marked as important, when you are revising, you must use this trick of stars to mark certain questions as important, or certain topics where you're unable to recall, or again and again, you're being stuck at the same point. So mark this as important. Mark this as star, which has to be reviewed before examination. Now, in the last span of 10 days, 8 days, 8 subjects. So just like you have that exam revision, see, if you're appearing for both groups, you won't even have a spare day, right? If you're appearing for 4 subjects at one time, that is one group, you will have a day off, right? So you'll have more time. But if it is 8 papers, of course, you don't have any single spare leave. So you have, in a stretch of 8 days, you have 8 papers. So the same environment, somehow the same environment, you will try to reproduce, and 8 subjects, 8 revisions in one go. So whatever has to be read, and if you haven't appeared for the test before, then the entire day you are going to revise the subject, and at the end of the day you will spare 3 hours and you will sit and just appear for the test. Trust me, these mock tests or these questions hold a very important place in examination. The conceptual understanding and everything is extremely important, but not just before exams. Just before exams, what helps is the questions. The questions which may be expected, the questions which have been asked, the questions which are there in the MTP, right? How are you going to attempt the questions? How are you going to switch from one topic to another? Because when you're revising one particular chapter, you know the entire continuity and hierarchy. But when you're appearing for examination, one question comes from this chapter, the other comes from some other chapter. And you have to immediately switch, you immediately get into that zone, right? So how are you going to deal with it? It's very important to create that environment before the examination. So exam before exam has to be done, right? It is a must. Okay. Now, some general tips which you must keep in mind is that you are not going to refer to any new material now. Okay, no reference of new materials unless you haven't even read that particular subject. Let's say, for example, let's take an example of law. If you haven't even read law, or you tried to do it self-study from the institute's material, but you're unable to, now you need a material, you go for it. But if you have already referred to a material of some other teacher, and you have done all the markings, and you have a ready referencer ready with you to revise it before examination, now switching to a new material or getting into the trap of, okay, on Telegram some teacher has shared this, so I should download this also and I will now start reading this. No, every teacher is giving you the same content, what is included in your syllabus. It's just the presentation which is different, and you're already comfortable with the earlier presentation, so don't fall into that particular trap. You have to and you must do all institutes questions. It is a must doing thing. Okay. Now, revision, when you are revising, of course, you can take the help of marathons. There are marathons usually uploaded for all the subjects. You will find it on YouTube. So you can revise with the help of marathons. But when you're revising with the marathons, you have to ensure that proper attention is there. It's not just that you're listening. And once it is done, you think that, okay, I have revised the entire subject. No, it's not going to work that way. You have to listen with proper attention, and preferably take a copy and pen and keep on scribbling. Okay, keep on writing whatever ma'am or sir is saying. Right, so that your attention won't be deviated, and take a pause after some time. That means maybe you have listened for 20 minutes. Take a pause and try to recall what you have listened so far. So just to ensure that, okay, I'm actually retaining all of this, or I'm just plain listening. So recall, take a pause again after 20 minutes and again listen. Or maybe you can take a pause after every chapter. Okay, so this way also you can revise. And what else I need to tell you? Just a second. Okay, yes. This is one more thing which I want to tell you. Maybe not you, but maybe there is some other student, junior, senior, peer who needs this. So this is our June exam offer, which is of course going to end soon. But there are discounted prices of both our subjects, CMA Final Law as well as CMA Inter Law. Now, this includes the set of hard copy books. Okay, so the hard copy books cost, because we have a beautiful set of hard copy books. In CMA Final, it is a set of 6 books, and in CMA Inter, it is a set of 5 books, which also includes colored chart books. Okay, so the costing is, of course, very high. It comes about 2,500 approximately for just the books. Okay, so if you reduce that, the classes cost have been slashed considerably. And if someone needs the same, because maybe you have I wouldn't advise you taking classes of all the subjects and doing it in 60 days. So this is not something which I'm promoting. But of course, if you are well equipped with maybe 3 subjects or 2 subjects, you have done really well, your preparation is good, and you don't need much time into that, then still you can take classes, you can subscribe, and maybe you can skip certain chapters. Like in CMA Interlaw, you have a lot of repeated content of CMA Foundation. So you can skip those chapters, and otherwise you can speed watch, you can quickly do it, and you can increase your chances of clearing examination with exceptional marks. Okay, so this may be a support, this may be of help to some students. If you know, or somebody like that, you can of course share it with them, right? And apart from that, if you have any query, if you want, my registered students can always come forward and discuss on WhatsApp. And my YouTube students can also drop in the comments, and we'll try to revert as much as we can, right? So wish you all the very best, and hope that you utilize these last 60 days before examination with full dedication, and you're able to crack your examination. I just want to see all flying colors, all congratulations on your result, right? Thank you. All the best.